Modern vehicles have a switch where you can decide what kind of ride you're going to get, whether it's going to be bumpy, like for your sports car, or touring, so it's more smooth, so you can enjoy the ride. Well, they also had that on Gemini 7, and we're going to show you how with the switch. Would you like to take an interactive virtual tour of this spacecraft, or this spacecraft, or this spacecraft, or even this spacecraft? Well, stay till the end and we'll show you how. In this issue of Spacecraft Guide, we're going to go over a switch that controls the type of mode that you're going to be using the thrusters in. It's sort of like in your car where you have the mode that you can drive in, like the performance mode that gives you a more stiff ride so you can feel it, or the touring mode, which is more smooth, where you don't feel as the bumps as much, or the off-road package, which gets you jacks up the suspension. And that switch is the attitude control selector. And when you click on it, it takes you to the attitude control page, attitude control selector page. And for our Patreon selectors, we're going to go into the schematics. And for our paying Patreon subscribers, we're going to go into a very good general description, or description of all, detailed description of all of these modes. So if you stay to the end, you'll find out how you can subscribe to the Patreon page, and we hope that you would to support the work that I'm doing here. So if we look here, we see that the attitude control selector are used to initiate transistor switching in the logic circuits pertaining to each mode. And each mode is utilized for a specific person of the ACME operations in conjunction with various mission phases. Okay, and these are the mission phases that you're going to go on. Direct mode, that's where if you put in a certain amount of direction into the stick, or the controller, which the astronaut actually controls the spacecraft, that gives you a constant amount of thrust. We have the pulse mode, which it gives you pulses. So it'll give you a couple of pulses. It'll stop until you reset the stick, and then if you do it again, it'll give you a couple more pulses. Or if you hold it, it'll give you pulses after a couple of seconds. We have the rate command mode, which is very interesting. If you start a specific rate of, like, roll, if you want to turn the aircraft, it'll continue that rate up to 10 degrees per second. Then we have the horizontal scan mode. So if you pointed the nose of the spaceship out at a 090 heading, no matter what happens, the spacecraft will continue on that horizontal of 090 up to plus or minus 5 degrees. So once it gets past 5 degrees, it'll start correcting back towards 090. So 09, well, if it goes between 085 and 095, the thrusters will automatically fire to get back into there. Then there's the re-entry mode. Now that is the auto re-entry mode. So if you put it into this, the computer automatically takes over and gets the position correct for re-entry. Then there's the re-entry rate command mode, and that's the re-entry mode, but the astronaut's actually controlling it. And it will the astronaut will put in where he wants the exact position of the spacecraft to be, and then if it gets off by 1 degree, the system will automatically correct to give back to the position that the astronaut gave into. And then finally, the platform. In the platform, it just goes to what you put into the gyros. If you have, say we had up here, we had the horizontal scan mode, and that was a 090 degree. So say you put it on that 090 heading, and then you had a 1 degree pitch up. And that the platform senses that, so you put it in that mode with the 090 and 1 degrees up, and just leave it there, and the ship will automatically hold. It'll do whatever it has to with the jets to keep that mode or keep that pitch and direction the way that you want it to. So now for our Patreon users, if we go into the schematics and we click on it, that's all for this week. If you would like to use this interactive virtual reality exhibit on the command module, the lunar module, and the surface of the moon, just go to our Patreon page and the link will be down below.